Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cartoon Boom! This is a show where we wake up with a Saturday morning sun, popped on the floor with big bowl of sugary cereal, and we'll try your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm an octopus under the lake. My name's Chris.
And this morning, we watched Camp Lakebottom. Did this octopus have razor blades on his tentacles? Is that what it looked like to you?
It did look like razor blades. I was really confused as to why no one was getting cut up or bleeding or anything like that, but it did look like razor blades.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't positive, but anything goes with this show, so it might have been.
Yeah. And this was suggested to us by Mike Root via YouTube. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. So Camp Lakebottom ran from 2013 to 2017, created by Eric Jacobson and Betsy McGowan, developed by Megan Davies, Shelley Hoffman, and Robert Pincombe? I don't know. Directed by Phil LaFrance and Jamie Leclerc for season 1 and 2, Ted Collery for season 2, and Jennifer Sherman for season 3. Produced by Skywriter Media and Entertainment Group, Jam-Filled Entertainment for season 1, and 9 Story Media Group for all 3 seasons. This ran for 3 seasons, 65 episodes, which was 130 segments on the Teletoon network initially, and it ran on Disney XD for a little while, but only the first season did.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, apparently they had some issues with it. I was trying to find trivia on this show, and there was very, very, very little, except for them saying that Disney XD did not treat this show well. So they just gave it 1 season that aired for a very short time and then pulled it. So who knows?
Yeah, I was wondering about that because when looking up information about the cast, there's barely even any cast information. So like even on IMDb, like the majority of cast information, it'll list like the cast members, but only like the prominent characters are like listed with who voiced them, and the majority of the voice talent is just listed and not who they portrayed in the show. So it was really, really tough to find any information.
Yeah, which is surprising because I thought it was a really good show, but it's like very under the radar, it seems like.
Well, that's what I thought too. Like, at least when it first got on the list, I heard really good things about it from the people in our community talking about it. But then the more I looked into it, it has really negative reviews in a lot of places, which surprised me.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't look at any reviews. I should have, but I went in with a complete blindfold and just went with it and thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'd have to look at those reviews because I don't get it.
Yeah, it's really strange.
But for a short synopsis, 3 12-year-old kids, McGee, Gretchen, and Squirt, are sent to the wrong summer camp bus and have all sorts of adventures in a camp called Camp Lakebottom while trying to protect the camp from McGee's nemesis, Jordan Butt Squat, at Camp Sunny Smiles. How could you not like that? That sounds so fun.
Butt Squat. You know, even on like IMDb or behind the voice actors, they didn't even bother spelling some of the characters' names right. Like even like Butt Squat wasn't even spelled Butt Squat. It was just something totally different.
The heck?
Like they still had butt in it, but it was like Buttquist or something.
Buttquist.
Yeah, I was like, they didn't even try with this show. Like, what happened here?
Gosh. Maybe there's some kind of weird conspiracy going on with this show because I just like had a good time. I don't see where the problem, unless there was just something within the episodes that we didn't see that happened, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was very confused.
Also, I should mention this was very Canadian. And not in the sense that like they sounded very Canadian, but this was made in Canada, and it was Teletoon is a Canadian network. So just FYI, if you weren't sure about Teletoon, that's what it is.
I thought you were going to be like, yeah, it's very Canadian, you know, so because like, Canadians, no.
No, nobody was like or anything like that.
Yeah, it makes sense once I talk about what some of the cast members have also been in, that this was a Teletoon creation.
Yeah, who were some of those actors?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me. So the voice of McGee was provided by Scott McCord, who has done several really cool sounding anime titles that I've never heard of. So I'm going to have to like go back to his IMDb later and like search some of these up because I just remember looking at a few and being like, dang, okay, why have I not heard of this? But anyway, Scott McCord has also had some prominent roles in some Bakugan series as the voice of Dan, and Total Drama as the voice of Owen. So Total Drama, also another really popular Teletoon series. A lot of other Teletoon series would include, in addition to Total Drama, things like 16 and Totally Spies. And the majority of this cast were in like all three of those shows in some capacity. I won't mention all of them because a lot of them, it might just be like various voices or something like that, or they appeared in like one episode. But pretty much everyone in the show was in at least one episode of like all three of those shows. So just,
Oh, right on.
yeah. So the voice of Gretchen was provided by Melissa Altro, who is also known for voicing Pippi Longstocking in the 1990s cartoon Pippi Longstocking. She was also the voice of Muffy from Arthur, everyone's favorite. The voice of Squirt was provided by Darren Frost. The voice of Sawyer was provided by Cliff Saunders. The voice of Armand was provided by Adrian Truss, who was the voice of Jerry from Totally Spies and the spin-off series Amazing Spies, playing the same character, redeeming his role as, Jerry the butler. He's great. The voice of Susie was provided by Bryn McCauley, who was the voice of Caillou, but for only like 15 episodes, like just a real short stint, which I thought was interesting. Caillou was a really long show, I think, but she was not Caillou for very long. She was also a few various characters for Total Drama. She played like 4 or 5 different characters that came and went. And she's also the voice of Mavis for Hotel Transylvania, the series. The voice of Rosebud was Jonathan Wilson. And then finally, the voice of Jordan Buttsquat was Carter Hayden. This guy's got some pretty interesting stuff. He was the voice of Volt from one of the Bakugan series. He is Noah and a couple other various characters from Total Drama, and also the voice of Damien from Beyblade Metal Fusion. How do you make... I don't know about the Beyblade anime, cartoon, what have you.
You're not a blader?
I'm not a I'm not a blader, but I'm just like, they're metal spinny tops, and I'm just not sure how they make like not just one series but multiple series about metal spinning tops. I'm just not sure how they did it.
That is a huge community, and if you really want some information on it, there is an episode. It's a side episode of Wizard and the Bruiser where Jake interviews one of these guys who's just super knowledgeable about it. And it was actually really interesting listening to it.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd personally get into it myself, but there's a big fan base and they are very avid about it.
Real serious about their blading. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine's kid, I don't know if he's still into it. He was super into Beyblades like a couple years ago, and it kept him busy all the time. He loved it. I was just like, man, after a couple spins, I feel like they do the same thing. I don't know how they make a show about it, but you know what? If it's cool, it's cool.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's cooler than Pogs, and we were into Pogs when we were kids, so it's like,
that's true.
Kind of makes sense.
The Pogs don't spin, so.
No, Pogs aren't metal.
Yeah.
Well, the Slammers, some of them were, I guess.
The Slammers were metal.
That's the whole thing.
Those were metal.
Some of them were plastic. My Juggernaut one was plastic, but whatever. That's beside the point.
I had a Goosebumps one that was metal. It had like a mummy on it. It was really cool.
Oh, nice.
Anyway.
Yeah, we could go on about Pogs for a while, but...
yeah.
So here's a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Camp Lakebottom cereal, which sounds very gross. McGee is... okay, so since I couldn't really find any trivia on it, I'm going to give you some important facts that I found about each of the main characters.
Yes.
So it'll kind of help fill in some gaps that we had because we didn't get a lot of information on really any of them, especially the counselors. So here we go. McGee is a self-proclaimed master of pranks, but his pranks are actually quite lame. So that's something that I guess we run into a lot in this series.
That makes a lot of sense. Is it insulting if I say that for whatever reason, McGee reminded me a lot of you?
Why? Well, tell me the reason, and then I'll let you know if it's insulting or not.
I think it was just like his aesthetic and like his look and everything. I was just like, man, I could see that. I could see that being like 12-year-old Joseph. I could see it.
When I saw his shirt, I was like, oh, I'm totally into it. Like, this kid is me. I saw myself in that kid, so I'm with you.
Okay, so I'm not off base.
No.
Okay.
No, you're on base. I like this kid a lot, so I'm for it.
Okay, good.
So Gretchen is revealed to have a severe phobia of chipmunks.
What?
I think
Why?
there's an episode somewhere where that comes into play. I don't know. We'll have to watch that episode.
Love it.
Squirt has worn the same pair of underwear all his life.
Oh, oh, gross.
Yeah. Sawyer, who is the zombie counselor, has a zombie mother who acts like a stereotypical brain-eating zombie.
Oh.
And Sawyer abandoned her out of defiance to her habits.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Armand, which is our big Sasquatch boy.
Sasquatch?
Our Sasquatch boy. Or Sasquatch.
That makes it sound like there's like a sausage out there that made a Sasquatch. It's called Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Jack Link's Sasquatch. That's their next product.
Sasquatch. Yeah, our Sasquatch boy. It sounds weird saying Sasquatch. Like that's like a forced sa on top of it. Anyway.
Yeah.
It reveals that he has a severe addiction to marshmallows. He will be driven into an unstoppable, hunger-filled rage if he is ever close to the delicacies.
No, okay.
Yeah, so he's addicted to marshmallows. Now, this one was interesting, and this fills in a lot of gaps for me. Rosebud, who is just, a regular human, and she's in this monster world, and so I had questions about her, but this fills those in. So she used to be an infamous monster hunter for SMAC, which is Society of Monster Annihilation and Creature Kicking, but gave it up for her love of cooking when she met Sawyer and Armand when she was tasked for destroying all monsters in Lakebottom. So she came as a hunter to basically eradicate the monster from Lakebottom and then just stayed there because of her love of cooking and befriending the others.
She came as an assassin and she stayed as a friend and cook.
And a cook.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
okay. I like that.
Yeah, those were the ones I just wanted to go over because it's like, yeah, some of these things, we don't really get to hear about any of these things. Some of them are very it's side information that's not really important, but interesting facts about the characters. But the Rosebud one, especially, I found interesting because I wanted to know what her place was there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. And eventually I just stopped questioning it, but I like that.
Yeah.
So, hey, we're talking about a cartoon about a camp. Do you like camps? Are you going to go to a camp this year? Maybe? Then next time you go camping or go to a camp, do it rocking some sweet Nerd Sloth gear by going over to nerdsloth.com and checking out the store. Snag a new t-shirt with your favorite podcast logo or a sticker to slap on that boring travel bag, or grab a bag that already has your favorite designs on it. Depending on what kind of camp it is, turn some heads with some Live, Laugh, Lava Jesus products, or let them know who's boss with a Saw Boss #1 boss design. It's totally up to you. And if you've never shopped the store before, you can get a discount on your first purchase through TeePublic just for creating an account. So get prepared for camp later this summer with that sweet, sweet sloth swag.
Nice. So let's go ahead and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show, starting with the first one, Escape from Camp Lakebottom, Season 1, Episode 1A. In this one, McGee, Gretchen, and Squirt arrive at Camp Lakebottom to find themselves held captive by a hungry zombie, a raging Sasquatch, and a ruthless chef.
I was honestly surprised at how the episode started. I kind of expected a totally different gag at first, so I'm trying to decide whether I liked the gag that sent them there or not. I do like the trope of the two camps being across the lake from each other, because that's like a classic lake or like camp kind of trope sort of thing.
Yeah, we see that in Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just about any other camp thing you've seen, whether cartoon or live show. But what happens here is like a bus comes by. McGee and his sister Susie were going to get on this real nice looking bus that the camp's owner's son is on, which is Jordan Butt Squat, not Buttquist. And when Susie gets on, Jordan makes the bus leave before McGee can get on it. And then this real crappy, just garbage looking bus shows up and McGee gets on that one and it's following the first bus. But once the first bus gets past this arrow sign, because signs are always arrows in cartoons, they're heading for, Sunny Smiles camp, which is supposed to be this nice, luxurious camp. Jordan hits this button on like a remote control. He's like a tech kid, a rich tech kid. He's got all kinds of tech. It flips the arrow around so that the crappy bus McGee is on, and that's where he meets Gretchen and Squirt. It goes down a different path, which leaves them at Camp Lakebottom, which is this disgusting, like, just pit of nasty instead of a camp. But so what I thought was going to happen, though, because I didn't read anything about what this was going to be about. All I knew was from the image that campers, a camp, monsters, sounds cool, I'm in. I thought maybe they were looking at this brochure, they're really excited about it, and they were gonna go and find out that it was just like false advertising. It was just this crap hole of a camp, and all of them were gonna end up at Camp Lakebottom. So I was very surprised really quickly that it was a totally different story. And I'm not sure which I would have liked better, but I do like the dual camps for the competitiveness there. So
yeah, and both of those are like those are things that we've seen in cartoons before, both those ideas where it's like the false advertisement or the rival camps. I came in same as you with like no knowledge of this. I didn't even know monsters were in it until like I saw the intro and I was like, wait, did they say zombies? Did they say spooky things? What are they talking about?
Like,
and
yes!
So like I was completely blind and very excited to hear all that. And yeah, so this was a cool idea to me. And I like that it's keeping the like rich preppy kids separate over there at their rival camp. So to me, that was a good idea.
Did you catch? There's a lot of Evil Dead references in this show. Did you catch all of those?
Well, I mean, we definitely got the one where Sawyer, the head counselor who is a zombie, basically he has a chainsaw arm when you first come into it. But we see that it's kind of a Swiss Army knife sort of arm that he can just exchange for different tools.
Yeah. I also noticed in the same first episode when they get in the cabin for the first time, there's the moose head on the wall that's all gross looking. That reminds me of the deer head from Evil Dead.
Oh, yep.
And then in another episode, when they're looking at the, what was it? A book of evil creatures. It looks like a cartoon version of the Necronomicon.
Yeah. And there's also a Ghostbuster reference in there when he's talking about like Marshmallow Man as one of the monsters.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I feel like throughout it's probably full of horror references, which I, of course, can appreciate.
Oh, exactly. But back on track, because so the three of them, Gretchen, Squirt, and McGee, end up at Camp Lakebottom, where they immediately get scared because of this zombie coming out of the ground. They run into this Sasquatch that looks covered in blood. It's actually red paint because he was painting, and the kids ran into him and spooked him, and he just dripped the paint all over him. And then Rosebud, I don't remember what she was doing when they met her, but she was talking about like, we want you for dinner or something like that. And she just meant that she wants to make dinner for them.
The first really half of this episode, at least, was them getting chased around by these, monsters. And there being that underlying misunderstanding that even we aren't aware of yet, because the way we're seeing it is sort of from the kids' perspective, where it's like, yeah, they're saying these scary things. They're coming to harm us or eat us.
There's also as we mentioned earlier, the octopus in the lake, which I think is it Slimy?
Yes.
That looks like he's covered in razor blades. We're not really sure. He doesn't cut anybody, though. There's also a shark. I think a couple different sharks in that lake. Some are bigger than others.
And they're big fans of turkey jerky.
Yeah, they love turkey jerky. I mean, who doesn't, though? I love turkey jerky, too.
Right, that's true.
So, the whole premise of this first episode is like these kids trying to get away from this place that they thought they were left at by accident. I mean, they were left by accident. We're learning the personalities of these three campers, and then they're trying to get across the lake to escape to Sunny Smiles, which is inhabited by, as we said, like a bunch of stuck-up rich kids. It definitely draws that line of like the outcast kids versus the preppy rich kids. Like that line is definitely drawn in the sand, or in this case, the lake.
Yeah. And when they end up at I guess let's give some like brief descriptions of the three kids and their personalities. So we've got McGee, who is the de facto leader, sort of. He's the most excited about this camp eventually, and he's the one who kind of I guess your person who acts first and thinks later. So he's always the one to get these kids into trouble when it happens.
Yeah.
He's sort of the T.J. Detweiler, if you want to compare it to Recess. And then you've got Gretchen, who is your Spinelli of the show. So she's the tomboy. She is like quick-witted and she's tough. She is like a black belt in martial arts and stuff like that. Yeah, she's the tough one who is kind of the tank of the group, I guess. She's the one who's more likely to fight first. And then there is Squirt, who we're going to go Recess still. He's sort of like Mikey in that he's omnibenevolent, but he's also he's not like Mikey in that he's dumb. Like he's a dumb kid, but he's so nice that like he easily befriends all these monsters and things around him because of how kind and peaceful of a person he is.
Yeah.
And also very gross. As we saw, he's never changed his underwear, basically.
He's super gross. But like by the end of it, they're all pretty gross, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of like you have to be gross to belong in this camp. Yeah.
Yeah. And people that do go to that camp are referred to as bottom dwellers, mostly as an insult from Sunny Smiles, but it's kind of used as a term of endearment by those that do attend Camp Lakebottom, bottom dwellers.
Exactly.
Which I like that term as like, what they call themselves. I think that was kind of cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'll compare it to Stephen King's It, because like they call themselves like the Losers Club, and that's kind of what bottom dwellers really means, is like losers or like bottom of the food chain kind of people. So it works in this way too.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Goonies in that same kind of vein too. Like they're goons, they're Goonies.
True, yeah.
They finally get across to Sunny Smiles, where Jordan Butt Squat, again with his technology and stuff, manages to lower a trap on them and traps them on the beach, where they were going to have a watermelon seed spitting contest and use the three of them as targets. And like everybody's lined up ready to spit their seeds at them. And that's when our monster counselors from Camp Lakebottom show up and defend them. And it's kind of like our bottom dwellers didn't realize, until this point that they were actually concerned for their safety, and that's why they were chasing them. And they basically said, like, we haven't had campers for so long. We're just so excited. We just overdid it. I'm sorry we scared you, kind of thing. We just really want you to have fun and stay with us. And also they were not going to take, the Sunny Smiles crew picking on them. So they scared them away, and then brought them back to Camp Lakebottom, where they all had a really good time. They did the camp song sitting around the campfire, which was just a lot of screaming and laughing maniacally.
Yeah, and then McGee's like, music to my ears.
The others are like freaking out, but
right. So I think each of the episodes opens and maybe closes with McGee writing a postcard basically to his mom.
Yes, with some sort of pun as part of it. There's always a pun.
Right. In relation to the episode, yeah.
Like, the first day was a scream or something like that. Or this camp's going to be a scream. And I'm like, McGee.
Yeah. It's like telling her what's going on without directly telling her.
Yeah. I was getting a little upset. No.
So the second episode we watched for today's show was McGee the Mermaid, season 1, episode 17A, which was the highest rated. In this one, the kids accidentally resurrect an evil mermaid who floods the camp in her first step toward world domination. This is a really fun one.
I loved this. This was my favorite out of the 3 that we watched. I honestly just really loved the mermaid character, Esmeralda, the really nice mermaid, as she introduces herself.
Right.
She's great.
I'll give you an example real quick of the messages to mom. So this episode opens with like, Hi, Mom. I met a cool girl at school the other day, but there's something fishy about her. So there's the pun and the play on. So anyway, go on as you were saying.
Yeah. So they were playing basketball, but they were told to come in, help do some dishes. they start goofing around because it's McGee and you gave him a hose. So, of course, shenanigans are going to ensue. He gets in a water fight with Gretchen, and they find a trunk just sitting there in the kitchen. Why? Who knows? They open it and find what looks like kind of like a shriveled up mermaid doll or something. And I thought about this a little more later, and it made a little bit more sense to me. But like, have you ever seen pictures of the like quote unquote supposed like real mermaid? It's like that shriveled up, gross, mummified looking thing that looks like maybe it was like a hairless or like maybe a monkey corpse that was sewn taxidermy to a fish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all shriveled up and gross.
So you're thinking it's kind of reference to that?
I think so. I think it was some sort of reference to that. So it's like this really small, shriveled up sort of thing, but looks kind of like a mermaid doll. Anyway, because they are wet, McGee's hair, like the water drips off his hair onto it, and all of a sudden it turns into a real mermaid whose name is introduces herself as Esmeralda, the really nice mermaid, and she's really bossy, and she keeps slipping into making demands of the three of them.
And this like monstrous voice.
With the super evil voice, and like none of them either they don't seem to notice or they forget about it very quickly.
Yeah.
Like she'll say something really evil sounding and then correct herself and be like, "Oh, I mean, yes, that would be lovely of you." And they're like, "Oh, okay." Like sort of thing. Which I thought was hilarious. Like it was a gag that kept happening and I loved it. It made me laugh like every time.
Squirt asked her at one point if she was hibernating, and she's just like, sure. Like she's just trying to go along with it to convince these kids to get her water.
Yes. So we kind of saw, and it was really smart writing here, I think, because they were really laying home the idea or laying out the path of the idea of like how she exists, how she can be trapped, whatever. She needs constant water to be able to stay animate, basically. And if she doesn't, she starts to shrivel up again a little bit and starts getting a little raspy. And so they have to keep getting her wet. They keep spraying her with the hose, which keeps ticking her off, which is pretty funny. She also gets this pearl necklace she puts on. She keeps saying that, oh, it was a present from my friend Rosebud. We're friends. And they're like, oh, we'll go get her. No. It's a surprise. Just go put me in the lake and we'll surprise her later. We as the audience can tell there's something going on, but it's pretty funny just how naive they all are.
It's interesting because now that I'm thinking about it, now that I know that Rosebud used to be a monster hunter, it makes total sense that she has this like ongoing rivalry with this mermaid that she previously trapped.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, now I completely get that.
Exactly. McGee just really wants to play basketball with her, which I think is kind of funny.
He just wants to play basketball, period.
Yeah. They, after a series of shenanigans, which involves stealing a Sasquatch's underwear and using it as a tarp, and Esmeralda getting dropped on her face multiple times, they finally get her to the lake where she unveils her evil plan that she is going to take over not only the camp, but eventually the world. And they're just like, well, you know what? You can't really do much because you can't walk. So she starts using her powers basically through that necklace to flood the lake. She starts rising the water levels and everything. And that's how she starts kind of growing her power. And Rosebud and some of the others, Rosebud especially, comes out and starts fighting her, trying to stop her. But she can use that necklace to turn people into sea creatures. Like she turns Rosebud into like an eel. Eventually, she turns Armand and Sawyer into creatures too, like a crab and a fish, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's up to the kids to stop her.
So they have to dig through that trunk. So Rosebud like tells them to go dig through that trunk and get help. So that's where they find that like Necronomicon type book that you were talking about earlier on how to fight a mermaid. And like we said, like they just needed to dry her out. So then they're like, well, how are we going to do that? And Squirt finds some like metal mermaid fins or gear or something, and so they go like into the water with these like metal mermaid fins on and like goggles and little snorkels, and then our snorkeler like things, and then they have to try to they're trying in multiple ways of trapping her. So they try like a balloon. The way that he talks about it is like, hey, remember that balloon from Sawyer's Happy Being Dead for Another Year Day? So and they get this balloon in this air tank and try to float her up in the air so she dries out, but she just pops it and falls back into the water. And then his plan is to lasso her tail, and he's like, I don't know what we're going to do after that, but we'll figure it out. So Rosebud, Sawyer, and Armand eventually attack her, still as sea creatures, and McGee ends up taunting her to like chase after him. He takes her on a wild chase for a while, and then as she's like diving down to come get him, forces her to kind of dunk herself in this basketball thing that he was playing with earlier, this basketball net, and she falls into that and traps herself, and that's where she eventually dries herself out.
Yeah, she gets stuck in the net, which is great, the basketball net.
Yeah.
And I like that. So she gets dried out and she turns into the Little Mermaid thing again. And what cracks me up is like before they put her back in the chest, they saran wrap her, which I thought was hilarious. Like just that little detail is so funny to me. I love that they did that.
Just to keep moisture out of it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I just think that's super funny.
And McGee's like, looks like this mermaid is officially waterproof.
Boy. But then they're asked to finally do the dishes. But they do get to play basketball.
Right. And Armand finds his underwear. So
yeah,
everybody wins.
His underwear because they had used it. So.
So the last episode we watched for today's show was the Camp Lakebottom Classic, which is season 3, episode 13. And this was a Patreon pick by Anthony D. So thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony, for helping pick this again, like we've done for some of the last couple podcast episodes. If we don't have a recommendation for an episode to watch from whoever recommends the cartoon that we watch, we will turn to our Twig level members for Patreon in the Nerd Sloth Treehouse. And this was the pick that we got and went with. So thank you very much, Anthony, and everybody else over in the Nerd Sloth Treehouse for participating.
And so this one was the final episode of the series. While the others were just 2 10-minute episodes, this one was a full 23. And it's the last week of summer, and the kids volunteer as staff in training to help with the unexpected arrival of 2 new campers until Butt Squat takes over the camp. And the gang challenges Butt Squat to the Lakebottom Classic for true ownership of Lakebottom one last time.
I really struggle with the name Butt Squat after so long of saying it. It just it starts to sound worse the more you say it.
Maybe that's why they were using Buttquish.
Like, oh man, I can't come in today. I've got Butt Squat. I got Butt Squat again.
I've got the Butt Squat. Something we haven't really talked about is how gross this show is, like intentionally. You see fart clouds, you see vomit, you at least hear vomit when it's not shown. And there's just so much gross stuff going around. It's basically potty humor on full display.
You know, I feel like we didn't see a whole lot of it though until this episode. Like there were definitely a few here and there, I think, in the first 2 we watched, but this episode, it was like every 2 minutes someone was getting barfed on, sneezed on, farted on. It just, man, they were just, whatever comes out of a body, we're gonna put it in here as much as we can.
They went all out. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They're like, final episode, let's make it as gross as we can.
Because it's a gross summer camp, so I get it. They're just really trying to pack it on, and they do. Because I think in the first episode, Sawyer like takes his heart out and then eats it to put it back in himself.
Yes.
It's like a nasty green shriveled heart. Yeah, it's weird. It's gross, but it's fun. So yeah, it's the last week at camp, and there's like this last week of camp alarm goes off. So they're all like talking about how they're going to miss it and the things they're going to miss. And that's when they meet up with the counselors, and they're just like, oh, look, new campers are coming in. And they're just like, well, why? Why in the last week? So like I said in the description, the kids try to offer to be staff in training because they know the camp well now since they've been there all summer. And the new kids finally arrive. It ends up being Portnoy and Sasha. So Portnoy is they're both rich kids who wanted to be at the camp Sunny Smiles, but they got kicked out because Portnoy didn't have a platinum credit card, and Sasha didn't make fun of him for not having a platinum credit card. So those are the reasons.
It wasn't just that. She made fun of him, but she didn't make fun of him loud enough, is why she got
that's what it was.
That's why she got kicked out. So she did. She just wasn't loud enough in her making fun of him. So they both got kicked out of Sunny Smiles and ended up here at Camp Lakebottom, which is hilarious. Just a funny thing. And what's interesting about them two, so just to give a little bit of background of those two. So Portnoy is kind of like he's basically a nerd. He is he's got like allergies, like they really leaned into that one, man. He's got allergies. He obviously has gotten picked on a lot. He's very techie, and which honestly, if you think about what we said before about butt squat, that's actually very helpful. And he's just overall like, he even like, you can tell like listening to his voice, he's like sounds like real nasally kind of thing, up in that sort of register.
Yeah, he has no sense of smell and no sense of taste because of his sinuses or his sinus infection or something.
And then Sasha is heir to a hair product empire, basically. And what I think is kind of funny is like the hair product that her family is known for is something that Armand, our Sasquatch, uses on the regular and like loves.
Yeah.
So he was super excited to meet her.
That's where he and Sasha really hit it off because, those kids are scared at first, but then once they get to know him and Armand introduces himself and talks about the hair product, she feels his fur and she's like, oh, it's so soft.
Yeah. And out of the two, Portnoy, like I think he fits in quicker, but Sasha was a lot more not wanting to really be a part of everything at first. But then when she kind of does want to be, Gretchen is very apprehensive about trusting her. And especially once the episode moves on to this thing called the Camp Lakebottom Classic, she very much does not trust Sasha whatsoever to help them out.
Right. Because at that point, Sasha had already tried to reach out to Jordan Butt Squat when he came and said that like he had taken the deed of the camp. And she was like, please just let me back in. Like, so she wanted to go back to Sunny Smiles badly. She didn't want to be part of the Camp Lakebottom folks or the bottom dwellers. But then like Jordan turned her down because she had the Lake Bottom stink to her already.
Yeah. The stink or the stank is what they say. Yeah, Jordan showed up at one point with a bulldozer and just bulldozed like the cabin and everything. It was just like, hey, I stole the deed of the property. It's mine now. And yeah, she's got that lake bottom stank. And they did the thing where like everyone was trying to reject her, but then like Squirt smells her and was just like, no, like she does have the stank. She is one of us. She's a bottom dweller. And she was trying to like have the stank to be an official bottom dweller, and so she like makes herself fart. I was just, what? That was weird.
Well, she was just trying to fit in, and so she lets out a small toot to prove she's a real bottom dweller.
Yeah, she's just like, so
yeah.
What's that? The only way to get the deed back from Jordan is to compete in the Camp Lakebottom Classic, which is a series of games like relay races, talent contests. I can't remember, was there a food eating contest? There was capture the flag against Jordan's camp, against Sunny Smiles. And the winner basically gets, control of the deed. So they had to beat Sunny Smiles to basically get the deed back and keep Camp Lakebottom open. So you've got Team Camp Lakebottom, you've got Team Sunny Smiles, and this is where like Gretchen really has a problem with Sasha, thinking like Sasha's either gonna sabotage us or we just can't kind of rely on her. Which at one point I get, because during the relay race, there's the race part, but then they have to eat Rosebud's food And like Sasha just barfs all over Gretchen, like right in the face, just covers her from head to toe, drenches her in vomit.
Yeah, because they have to eat her wormageddon or something.
Yeah, I think so, which is what it sounds like.
Yeah, they have to eat her wormageddon, and then Sasha vomits on Gretchen's face, so Gretchen falls behind and loses that first event.
There's things in here that are probably stuff that we hadn't seen yet that I think is kind of fun. Like if you touch a gravestone, because at one point, like they're like, you have to find the oldest grave, but someone touches it. And I think it was Squirt's like, no, don't touch it. Because if you touch it, then whatever is buried in that grave comes to life and chases after you and stuff. Or
No. That's not what it was. It's if you say the name of the person in the grave.
You can't say the name. So someone said the name that was on the tombstone and it popped out and started chasing them.
It resurrected. So the skeleton, it came out and started chasing.
That was kind of fun.
So the second event was kind of like sliding down this, like, I don't know, gross like sewage canal thing. And Portnoy offers to jump in because he doesn't have a sense of smell because of his sinus condition. So they're both sliding down, he and this other camper from Sunny Smiles. And Portnoy's like, he's behind a little bit. He's like, okay, I need a boost. I just need a small boost. And so he farts to get the boost and win the match.
Yeah.
Of course.
It comes down to like where everything's kind of tied. And then the last thing is capture the flag. Now, I missed something and I didn't understand where that alternate dimension came in. So can you help me figure out what that had to do with anything?
That was just like part of the event was going into the portal and getting the other team's flag or something.
Yeah.
But when McGee goes into the portal, kind of like Ghostbusters also, what he was thinking about was Butt Squat. And so multiple Butt Squat clones just pop up all over the place and are just competing with each other. Butt Squat himself doesn't want to go into the portal. And so he is he's just staying out there and arguing with Susie, McGee's sister. So eventually the Lake Bottom team gets the opposing flag and comes out after like Portnoy actually comes through with his tech knowledge because he has like satellites above them or something for fun, I think he said.
Yeah, he said he hacks satellites for fun.
Yeah, he hacks satellites. That's what he said. What ends up happening is like all of the Butt Squat clones start getting wedgies from their little wedgie-matic machines they have. Oh yeah, Portnoy offered himself up because he is immune to wedgies after getting so many growing up.
Yeah.
So he has some kind of like wedge immunity or like underwear immunity. I can't remember what he said.
He said he has a wedgie immunity in his wedgie area is how he described it. His wedgie area.
Yeah, right. So they get the flag, they all hug and cry, and it really closes out pretty sweetly. And then Susie comes by and then just like, McGee, come get me when mom comes. Susie, out. And they just talk about, or I think Sawyer says like, she really scares me.
Yep. It's pretty good.
And that's kind of how it closes.
Yeah, it's just over.
But it was a nice episode.
It was pretty fun.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our kids to Camp Lakebottom in all their smelly glory, then see what they thought of the show, Camp Lakebottom.
This cartoon sounded really cool at first, and it was still great. There's lots of monsters, funny characters, and a cool new goth girlfriend for me. Plus, this camp looks way cooler than the one my parents keep sending me to. I hope I never see another stupid bead bracelet again.
This is absolutely the perfect camp for me. There's zombies, dramatic Sasquatches, stinky food, coffin canoes, and oh, so many farts. If I stop changing my underwear, do you think I'll get the lake bottom stank?
I know that lake bottom stank well. There are some mornings I wake up and I'm just like, oh, I've reached it. I've reached the bottom.
Yeah, I always know it's time to shower when I lift my arm and I'm like, woof, that lake bottom stank.
Sometimes do you get out of the shower though and like you grab your towel and your towel smells like a lake and you're like, what's happened here? Because like that happens to me sometimes.
I try to change out my towel before it starts molding.
Whoops. Well, I'm just sealing in the stank is what I do.
There you go. Well, you belong at Camp Lakebottom then.
Yeah, I'm a true bottom dweller.
Truly.
So what are some of the things that you like about this show?
First off, I really like the animation. To me, it was kind of a blend between Gravity Falls, Costume Quest, and Codename Kids Next Door. I mean, it's got a pretty like generic cartoonish look to it, like a lot of shows have. So it's not necessarily a unique style, but I just really liked how clean it was, and I think it worked very well for the subject matter, and sprinkled a little bit of that like Ren and Stimpy grossness on top of it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think it was really crisp, really clean. I think some of the character designs were very memorable when it comes to especially like the monsters and the counselors and stuff. And I like that. And I think we've discussed this on the show before, but it's probably episodes and episodes ago. You know, you and I both kind of enjoy that mix of cuteness and horror. We've got a big appreciation for that kind of thing. And you can find some of that in this show. And I really, really liked it. I think that they did a really great job of designing, animating, laying everything out with this cartoon. I think it was fantastic. I really also liked most of the characters, especially the three main characters, the bottom dwellers. And I'm glad that they stuck with those three basic ones, because those three personalities in particular really complemented each other well. Like, you didn't need more and you couldn't do less.
Yeah, and coming into this, like, I had no idea, like we were talking about earlier, what this show was about. So when they introed it, talking about zombies and spooky things, like, I was already sold. And not to mention the fact that they really don't hold back on trying to up the gross factor whenever they can. I can't remember the last cartoon where I've seen more fart clouds and or barf, which made it even funnier to me. So I think, like, at heart, I truly am a bottom dweller.
Yeah, apparently. What about dislikes? Were there things that you didn't like about this? Because so I just want to chime in based on like what you just said there. So like I liked that for the most part, but like I felt like the last episode really laid into that toilet humor a lot, whereas the other episodes we watched didn't lay it on so thick, which makes me wonder if we just got lucky with the first few episodes, or if there was a progression, or maybe it's a regression when it when it comes to the writing, where they like stopped relying on as many monster and horror tropes and went Ren and Stimpy route and went for farts and gross out jokes. And I'm not going to stand on a soapbox and say you can't do that, because God knows if you've ever seen our live streams on Twitch, I have scurried that path many a time, my friend. But like, I mean, it's funny when it's really well placed, and I think that that balance was great the first couple episodes. It seemed like this last episode was just so oversaturated with those that like there was a couple times I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it, like it's gross, I get it. Like there's so many farts in this episode. I'm like, I know, man, I know that you guys fart, I get it. But I don't know. However, that said, there is an audience for that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have things like, you know, predecessors for this, like Ren and Stimpy, to even compare it to. So there's obviously, you know, people that like that kind of stuff. And you yourself said, you know, you enjoyed that aspect of it. I'm just wondering, and also based on like some of the reviews and stuff that we've seen, like our, well, you haven't read them, but I've just seen that there are a lot of really low reviews for this, that if they do lay it on really thick throughout the whole show, or if this last episode was like a misnomer and it's like maybe like over time they started leaning more heavily into that and they didn't at first. I really don't know what that was. But like in that last episode, I just like was like, man, I get it. Like you can do other jokes.
Yeah, I feel like the last episode was kind of a culmination of everything we had experienced throughout the series. And they can't really introduce new monsters or anything like that, because they already have this path that they're going down for the final episode. And plus it's a two-parter technically. So it's like, yeah, we didn't see as much in the first episode we watched or the other one, but those are also very slim and they don't get to have like as long of a drawn out of a plot. So I guess they couldn't fit in as many fart jokes and still have room for the plot itself. But yeah, in the last one, like I didn't mind it. I just think that like in as a way to sort of like bolster the fact that these are gross kids doing gross things, and they're having to kind of prove the worth of their camp and get it back by being gross. I think it makes sense in the context of the story they were pushing forward.
Sure. Yeah, I can agree with that. And I mean, like I said, it's not something I shy away from either. Because like I also think stuff like I mean, I don't think the movie's as funny as it used to be, but stuff like Garbage Pail Kids, I mean, there's a place for that in my heart as well. And like you'd be hard pressed to find something grosser than Garbage Pail Kids. So
I mean, even if you're just looking at it as the cards, not the movie itself, like the cards are deliberately gross and they still come out and there's still an audience for us. So yeah, gross toilet humor is, I don't think that's ever going to die. It's funny.
No.
It's probably been funny from long before we even called it toilet humor. So
absolutely. Before there was toilets.
Yeah, before there were cavemen were probably laughing at each other's farts.
Yeah, originally would it have been just like hole in the ground humor, or like what would that have been?
Yeah. It's just like wherever you find a spot humor, I guess. I don't know.
Wherever it lays humor.
Yeah, wherever it may fall humor.
Yeah. What about your dislikes though?
Honestly, like I didn't really have any big dislikes about it. Like if you don't dislike the crudeness of it, then there's really not much else you can dislike about it. And just on a base level, the crudeness I found charming in a way. So if that's my base, then there's nothing else I really have wrong with it.
There we go.
So what did you give the show overall?
I mean, overall, I was really impressed with it. I mean, I heard good things, and then I got a little worried when I started looking up info because it was so hard to find info, and then seeing that it was rated really poorly. And this was something that was at the bottom of our list. So I went in trying to be really neutral, and I came out feeling really positive and enjoying the aesthetic of the whole show and a lot of the characters. So I would rate Camp Lakebottom 4.5 bowls of really nice mermaid cereal out of 5. And I would definitely recommend it for older kids and teens, and especially ones that are getting into the spooky stuff, or people that enjoy the world of like you even mentioned earlier, something like Gravity Falls. I mean, knowing that you're not going to get a deeper story out of it, but if you like the similar aesthetic, then there you go. I think this is a show that you could check out.
Yeah, it's kind of just a quick hit of grossness. If that's what you're looking for, perfect.
Yeah, something quick with like, some creatures and some woods and stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and a lot of horror references that we probably, I mean, I'm sure there were much more in the episodes we didn't see, so I'm curious to watch the rest of it. So for me, yeah, this show was a ton of fun and full of charming characters. And at this point in my life, I don't think I'll ever grow out of enjoying well-placed body humor or just body humor in general. So overall, I'm going to give Camp Lakebottom 5 big bowls of Wormageddon cereal out of 5. And I definitely recommend you give it a shot as long as you're okay with that Lakebottom stank.
Maybe that's why we've been friends for so long, is because you can put up with all my gross jokes.
I have to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised you weren't more into it, because this is basically your humor all the time.
Maybe I found something about myself that I don't like in this show.
Yeah, it was too much of a mirror, too much of a filthy mirror. Yes.
I found a reflection of myself. I looked upon it, and I must turn my face.
So thank you, Mike Root, for suggesting this. I am very pleased we watched it. I'm disappointed I hadn't heard of it before, but I'm glad I know about it now.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we got to see this. This is something I definitely do want to watch more of. And I'm going to be honest, I probably will, because I want to see all the other horror references that we might miss out on otherwise.
Absolutely. Well, listeners, it looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
The Lion King's Timon and Pumbaa, suggested via YouTube by I'm the Champion 23 and via Facebook by Nicholas Moss.
Interesting. I actually used to watch this show periodically.
Oh, there you go. I didn't. So there we go.
And I know this because I remember the theme song, because it was basically Hakuna Matata, but they, instead of like in one of the phrases, I remember them saying Timon and Pumbaa instead of Hakuna Matata. So that's why I remember the show.
Cheap.
It is cheap, but
Timon
that's how I remember it.
What a wonderful series. Is that how
in that part where it's like It's like Hakuna Matata, Timon and Pumbaa, and that's how it goes. And then it like chains off. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it that's kind of fun.
So it's not as cheap as that, but yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's what I remember. So yes, I've seen this before, but not too much of it. So I'm curious to see the rest of this.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fair. I'm excited to see it too, because like many Disney cartoons of yesterday, I did not give it an opportunity as a child. So it's time to get my feet wet or dry, because we're heading out of the lake and into, the Sahara. wherever these guys are, we're going there.
Wherever Timon and Pumbaa end up.
Yeah, where you guys at? We're going there.
Well, once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.